Hey cats, what's happening? This video may not be for everybody, so if you're not interested in medical stuff, turn it off, tune it out. It's about Val and I's situation. Both of us have had to have ostomies, and we didn't have any choice in life. That's just what was handed to us. I had colon cancer, so I had no choice but to get my colon out. She had infection in her colon. She had to have it removed. The only other option to living after that is to get an ostomy. An ileostomy is where they pull the small intestine out through your stomach wall. A colostomy is where they pull the colon out through your stomach wall. So if you don't have a colon, you can't have a colostomy. If you have a small intestine and they pull it through, it's called an ileostomy. But what's left is you have a piece of your intestine coming out of your stomach wall. That's called a stoma. And I'll show you here a little picture. This is a stoma. It's not one of ours. It's just something we pulled off the internet, just so you have an idea what's going on there. Now, there's no valve on this. You can't turn it on or off. So the liquid waste is coming through there randomly whenever it feels like it. You don't feel it coming through. It's not like you're sitting on a toilet taking a number two. It just flows through, and sometimes you don't even know it's happening. Any more than you feel food going through your own intestine right now. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of products involved that we have to deal with to contain what comes out of there. And V's going to talk about that.
So this is what is called a flange. This adheres to your body. You can see it's got a sticky on here, and this goes right on to your stoma. And you can see there's your stoma will come out here. So along with that comes a pouch. The pouch will attach to this. Some people put it together ahead of time. It just clips like this. And then you put it on. Of course, you roll up your end so nothing comes out. And it's got a Velcro closure. Like that. And it's on your side. Sometimes you can hear it rattling, sometimes you can't. But that is the most important thing you have to have. As you can see, there's little cloth here. This white strip will peel off. It comes off here, and along with this, sticks to your skin. Now, the doctors tell me all the time, you don't need tape. No, you don't need tape. Well, I'll tell you what. I woke up this week at 4 a.m. I reached down. My pajamas were all wet. I sprung a leak up here at the top because I had no tape. My bag filled so full, probably forcefully, that it came right out. So these products right here, I ordered 2 boxes of flanges, 1 box of pouches. There's 10 pouches in here, 5 flanges in each box, for a total of 10.
So what's the cost on just those 3 boxes of stuff then?
Well, those 3 boxes cost $255.78. I paid a deductible of $74.60. That's for 1 month.
And that's just for
these 3 boxes.
These 3
right
boxes.
Here.
Good
I
grief.
have these products on hand because last year I had met my deductible and my out-of-pocket, so I continued to order just like I needed supplies, and I'm glad that I did. So I paid $74.60 deductible, which is probably all those items are worth, and that's even padded. You get 3 days. If you're lucky, when I popped a leak, I was just starting my 3rd day. So I got 2.5 days use out of it.
So these pouches or these bags, you would think, what happens if one of those springs a leak? It's highly unlikely that the bags are going to leak. They're very tough. You could probably fill one up with water and sit on it, and you'd probably have to jump pretty hard to get it to break or pop. So the main failure that V talked about is where that adhesive sticks to your skin. And because of your body oils, you sweat, different things can happen. Just bending over all the time. If you do it during a project all day where you're bending and bending and bending, it loosens up the adhesive, and that's where you start to get the leaks.
And if you take a hot bath, it loosens that adhesive as well. And I think that's what happened to me.
So you tried to enjoy a nice hot bath, but it loosened up the adhesive and it caused you an issue.
Yep, and then I got my sleep cut short. So, in addition to these items, unfortunately, I don't have pricing on the rest of these because, like I said, I had them on hand. But I just want to tell you, each time I do a bag change, I use 2 of these. It's medical adhesive remover, no sting wipe. And it has no alcohol in it. I know they have them with alcohol, but I prefer not to use the ones with alcohol.
The alcohol stings.
Yes, and it ruins my nails, my nail polish. So the very first thing I do is use 2 of these to get all that adhesive off and peel the old bag off. Then, while you're in the shower, you want to make sure that you clean that area real good. Not only with the adhesive remover wipes, but you want to take soap and water and you want to clean that entire area. After you get that, you want to make sure that the area is completely dried. Now, that's provided your stoma cooperates, because what happens to me is I just touch it with the towel and my stoma starts to be active, and I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go. It's going to be one of those times. So sometimes it's hard to get completely dry. After I am completely dry and clean, I take what's called stoma powder, and I sprinkle this all around the stoma. And you take a tissue, dust off the excess, and just a thin film is left to your skin.
Now what does that do?
Well, that helps any skin irritations. There is an irritation people like us get around their stoma from stool leaking on it called pseudoverrucous, which is very painful and has to be treated by a doctor. Mark can tell you more. He had surgery for that.
Yeah, so what happens is, no matter how you put this thing on, you're going to eventually, you want it to at least last a couple days. I mean, you can see the expense we're paying for these things. And the seal will hold sometimes up to a week. But what happens is it slowly starts to lose adhesive around the stoma itself. So that being said, you'll get stomach acids that will get in contact with your skin, and it can cause like a rash, bleeding, after a while it starts to, I don't even know how to explain it, but it starts to like really
Like
blister up, and it causes you a lot of pain. So these products she's talking about help to prevent that.
So after I get the stoma powder on, I have several issues with my body, because when I had my initial surgery back in the 70s, they had to put a drainage tube in my stomach. So I have an indent in my stomach, and I have to patch that indent, because if I don't, that leaves this flange vulnerable right at this area for leaks. I kept springing leaks right here. So I told the stoma nurse, and she showed me how to patch the indent from the second belly button that I have. So after the stoma powder, then I take one of these little gizmos, which is a barrier film. Again, it's a no sting, and they tell me it's supposed to help keep this sticking on you. So I use one of these each time. So there's a couple more expenses right there. Another expense I have, after my surgery, I had a blowout where it leaked, and the stool was all over my skin, and my incision was still open, and I ended up with some type of fungus. It was just itching and itching. So when I went to the stoma nurse for a visit, she cut this template for me and told me to make these patches. And what you do is this goes right over my stoma, and that way if anything leaks, this protects the skin around the stoma. So I use this.
So that goes on before you put on your pouch.
Yes, yes.
So that's the very first thing you put on after you put all the powder
Correct.
and stuff on.
Correct. I put this on here.
Mm-hmm.
So that is another expense because I have to buy a box of these sheets.
Mm-hmm.
Now you want to see how many? 5 of these sheets come in a box. I get 2 of these out of a sheet.
So that sheet, that's like adhesive too?
Yes, it's called stoma adhesive. Polyhesive, and it's a sticky, as you can tell. It's got, this side has a sticky, the side with the paper is a little bit more sticky. So I use the side with the paper against my skin. This is a sticky side.
So that's very sticky.
Yes.
And it's kind of like waxy or stretchy too?
Yeah, not as much as the other product there. But this is my template. I hang on to this. And I place it on here each time I make bags, and I can get one this way, and I can get one this way. Then I use these little pieces here for my patch pieces. It takes 3 of these little pieces to patch the indent I have in my belly.
So you're kind of filling in the crack there with those things.
Like a Bondo type thing with my
Yeah,
belly.
like body work.
Yeah, body work, exactly.
Boy.
So that's another expense. I mean, I have to have this thing. If I don't, I'm going to have big trouble. So that's my template. That's the polyhesive. The next thing, you're almost close to putting on your bag. What I do when I rip off this piece, I take one of these little rings. This is called a moldable ring. Now this is the stretchy thing. I don't want to ruin it because once you take this paper off, it's sticky. So they're too expensive to play with. But this comes off and you stretch it to fit this. You fit it around the flange, bringing it all the way down here, all the way around.
So if you could describe it, it's almost kind of like
Like a putty.
like a cookie dough or
Yes.
a putty. You can manipulate it to whatever shape you want.
Yes, and you don't want to stretch it too far, so I usually start at the top and then work my way around. I don't want to just take it and stretch it real wide. Stretch it here to make it fit and then just kind of work it around. So after I get that little ring on there, the moldable ring, then they have what's called stoma paste. Now this stuff is so gooey, and you have to make sure that once you squeeze this tube and the stuff comes out, you better wipe this off good, because if you don't, you're not getting the cap off and you're not getting any more stoma paste out. I learned. And this stuff is too expensive to waste it. So then after I have the moldable ring on, I take the stoma paste and I make a line all the way around here, which is another adhesive, another protectant. So again, 2 more products you have to buy. Now, provided your stoma behaved itself and didn't spew poop everywhere, you're ready to attach your bag because you're nice and clean, you're all prepped, you're ready to go. You make sure you peel off all your adhesive and just
Make
stick
sure your
this-
skin's real dry.
Yes, absolutely. You put this on. And most people, I know Mark does not use tape. He leaves his. He just uses this flange. If I did that, we'd be in a world of trouble. I still panic. I'll be walking and my bag will be filling. Mark will tell you, and I'll be like, I have to find the bathroom because I can feel it so quick. I feel it filling quickly, and I don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah, I don't use all of the products she uses. I use similar products, but you get the idea here.
So this is an additional thing to hold down the bag. I used these more when I had the colostomy. They started to irritate my skin. You can see they're like a plasticky. They're sticky too. If I peel this off, there's a sticky under here. And what you would do is put them on like this, so it would hold the flange to your skin. But these things started to irritate me.
Yeah,
they were itching me
the
really
adhesive
bad.
can be very annoying sometimes
So,
on different products.
I had these left from last year, and I'm trying not to use them. I don't want to get in that habit again of using these because they're very expensive and they irritate.
But that's just one more extra added insurance to hold it to your belly. And that's the whole key. You want it to hold onto your belly so it doesn't come loose. Especially when you're out in the public doing things, you don't want to have a disaster.
So in spite of the doctor telling me I don't need tape, this is my favorite. It's called Silk Tape by Durapore. And it's very silky. It's got a shine to it. But I tape all the way around now. I tape the sides. Most importantly, I tape the bottom.
You tape that to your belly.
Yes. And this is on me, and I take these pieces, I put a piece here, lift this up, and I put a piece under here. And for extra insurance, I take this pink tape, which is like duct tape, and I put a piece of that across the bottom.
So if you do ever have a blowout, that's an extra added protection to protect your clothing and stuff so you can get someplace and get it fixed.
Yes, yes. And it happened to me when I was working. I kept a bag in my desk. We had no private restroom. I had to go in a stall, and I had to doctor up. I kept gauze, and I kept tape, and, you know, I could smell it, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, other people have to smell this too. But, you know, you're at work, you do the best that you can do with what you have. So, and the last thing I have to show is I don't use this much anymore since I have the ileostomy now. But when I had the colostomy, that colon was one stinky mother. Oh my God. I would go through this stuff and they would fight me on getting this, saying, oh, you already got 24 ounces this month. You're only allowed one more bottle. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. This is deodorizer for the bag. So I told the doctor about it, and she said, you know what, hold off. Once we do this ileostomy, you may not need it. And she was right. The ileostomy is not as bad as the colostomy was. No. So if you're ever presented with that, keep it in mind. I dealt with a colostomy for 3 years, was it? 4 years before they did the ileostomy. And I wish they would have just done the ileostomy first. It's much better. So that's what Mark and I deal with on a monthly basis, an added expense. Now, I'm getting ready to go on Medicare. So I'm kind of nervous because I'll be going off of his insurance onto Medicare, and I'm not sure what all will be covered. As you can see, $75 a month just for this, not including any of this.
That's just the basics. Yeah, those are just the must-haves.
So when I go to do a bag change, this is what I take in the bathroom with me. This one is all assembled. There's my cleaners. There's my patches, my 3 patches for the indent. There's my other patch. Here's my little ring. And then in my bathroom drawer, I keep the stoma paste and the stoma powder and these things right here. So some of it I have in there, but this is easy. I can just grab a bag like the other morning at 4 a.m. I'm half asleep. I got cats running between my feet. I just ran in that bedroom, grabbed one of these bags so I could just change and get cleaned up.
How long does it take you to change that?
Well, not including the bath or anything. I like to soak first while I can. Probably like 15 minutes, provided your stoma cooperates. If my stoma starts shooting, I gotta clean up all over again.
Yeah. Yep. So that's what it's all about. It's, like I said, for us, the other option was death. So you deal with it. It keeps us alive. And it's a wonderful option to dying. But, you know, I don't know what we would do without medical care, because when we have to order this stuff every month, and we ordered from a local company called Edge Park Medical Supplies, and they have a catalog that thick of just everything you would ever need medically. But all of this stuff you have to have a prescription for, so your
Yes.
doctor has to approve it before you can go online and purchase this stuff too. And then there's usually, from time to time, it can be a headache because they'll say, well, we need to upgrade your insurance records, and once we get that done, then we'll ship the stuff out. So sometimes we've waited, like a week or more before we get our supplies, and it's like, come on already.
So I make a standard rule. When I'm down to this last box, which is 5, I order. Because I don't know if they're going to ship it in a day, 2 days, a week, but at least I know I have 5 as a backup.
Now, we've often said to each other, what happens when the day comes, you know, when there's the apocalypse or something tragic where we can't get medical supplies? What the heck would we do? That's a good question. Duct tape in a Walmart bag? I could only imagine. That would never work.
So I belong to some chat forums, some like messaging forums where there's other Crohn's disease patients, other ostomy patients, and there are people from other countries that cannot believe that we have to pay what we pay for these supplies. I think it's Sweden told me that they get their supplies for free. They get 30 every month. I'm ordering 10. They get 30 a month. Another country told me we pay $40 and we get 30 of the pouches and flanges per month. And they're just appalled. They said, well, what do you do if you can't afford it? And I said, well, fortunately, that hasn't happened to me yet. Usually, the first order of the year, when you haven't met your deductible or you're out of pocket, I have spent in excess of $300 for an order of supply. That comes out of my pocket, $300.
Ouch.
So being on a fixed income now on retirement and going on Medicare, I'm really kind of nervous. I just think that the United States has a long way to go. They need to really look at some things. And not only for ostomy people, there are other people that need medical supplies, diabetics and such. But if you guys like this shitty topic video, please feel free to share it. Give us a like, subscribe if you aren't already. And we enjoy reading comments. We will reply back to you, either Mark or myself or both of us. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate it.